Everybody, welcome to another episode. I'm Uther, your host. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Today I want to talk about the losing battle that Microsoft is fighting and possibly Android as a whole. But before we get into it, please check out the comment section, check out my Twitter, and give this video a thumbs up so we can get this up and see what other people think about it. Let's talk about it in the comments once everything's done. So, something was brought to my attention yesterday, which I've always thought was starting to happen and was fearing, and that's the growth of iOS. A report has come out based on a conversation I was having with a coworker yesterday that nearly 90% of school-aged children are using Apple iOS, and it's getting worse and worse by the year. They're expecting by 2025 that iOS will be 100% of the market under 20 years of age, I think is what the number was. So I decided to look it up and see how the market share is worldwide. And of course, the first thing that popped up was the United States. And it didn't look too great with iOS well over 50% of the market share, which in my opinion, it's not that bad because you only have Apple for iOS and then you have all these other brands for Android. So it looks really weird because a lot of people that don't understand phones are going to look at it as, well, Apple's dominant and everybody else sucks. Reality is Android is just, in my opinion, too segmented and it doesn't really have a target in general. And then as you look into it as the whole world, it's totally different picture, right? Places like India, South America, and other smaller countries. Obviously, India is not a small country, but basically in the U.S., mostly parts of Europe, UK, and Australia and Oceanic are very heavy Apple, right? But once you get away from that, you're seeing extremely heavy Android. And a lot of that, especially in India, Korea, and things like that, places like that, is obviously because of their home brands are all Android based. Also in your China and Asia as a whole. So, but the thing is, it's continuing to grow. And the US market dictates a lot of the direction of the world because that's what people think about. And I'm in that as well because I see every day more and more people buying Apple products, which worries me because it's really going to stagnate the future of technology, the future of development, and everything. Because in general, they're not about future development. They're about just growing their market share and bringing people in to their ecosystem. And it's not an ecosystem that's good for people that want to understand and grow in tech. In my opinion, as a person that sells the product and enjoys technology as a whole, I want technology to continue to advance and get better. And I have not seen iOS do much except to try to start doing more and more like what Android has been doing for years. But their hardware is just not advancing. Now, people can make the argument the processors are faster. Maybe that is the case in some scenarios, but in day-to-day use, most consumers are never going to see it. Now, they'll look at a chart, they'll look stuff up, and they'll be like, well, it's faster, it's so much faster, look at these charts. Well, guess what? If I put an Samsung Galaxy Ultra, my Duo, my OnePlus 8 next to your iPhone, reality is you're not going to see a whole lot of difference, except in maybe some Apple-specific apps. And obviously, Apple, Google, Samsung, and companies like that are continuing to make their own versions of apps to make things work better. So this goes into the losing battle that I think that Microsoft is fighting by being so late to the game, right? They let Windows Phone fall apart so many years ago, and then finally at the end of last year, they entered the Android space, and they did it with an ultra premium foldable phone. So you're talking extremely small segment that they're trying to enter, and they're working to get Windows to integrate better with Android by partnering up with Samsung. My problem and my worry is it's just too late. You're also seeing Microsoft's Windows market start to shrink. I didn't get exact numbers on that. I may look it up and put it on my Twitter page and in the comments below, but it just takes a quick Google and day-to-day look at what's going on even in my actual workspace to know that it makes sense that as iPhone market share increases, people are going to continue to buy iPads, which are not true computers to me. They're just giant phones. I know computing is computing, but what I mean is an actual desktop interface versus a mobile interface when I say computing versus mobile device. All right, that's just, for the sake of, not trying to explain too much. I don't consider any iPad a computer. I can consider them all phones, which technically they are because they're just using iOS. Yes, there's a little more functionality, and it's a little closer to what you can do on a Chromebook. Not exactly what you can do on a Chromebook, because obviously you can actually add Linux on a powerful Chromebook, and obviously Windows is king, and hopefully that stays that way, especially with gaming, the open ecosystem. I mean, at the end of the day, right? Open source ecosystem is better for the people, but it doesn't seem to win in the reality of the world. If you look at NVIDIA versus AMD, well, guess what? Maybe a lot of it has to do with how AMD handles things, but AMD is very open source, NVIDIA is very closed source. They work close with IBM by having CUDA, which is IBM's technology, and NVIDIA continues to win. They have more market share, more mind share. Apple's the same way. Everything's proprietary, market share, mind share is there. Samsung a little more open source as well. Guess what? Shrinking market share pretty drastically based off Q4 2020 versus Q4 2019. Now, obviously the numbers there are a little thrown off because iPhones tend to launch Q1 Apple, but Q2 based on the actual calendar versus Samsung being super big in the obviously Black Friday area, but their launches are March, April, and they moved it up this year, which dictates that they also noticed that Apple was getting a pretty big advantage by launching so late in the year, and it really, really threw off the Q4 numbers for last year. So I'm hoping that's what it is. Obviously, we won't know till the end of this year if that's what's going on. But reality is, as a person that wants open source, a person that until recently was using Linux, when I started having some issues with playing WoW and getting some stutter at the absolute worst times, I'm back to playing a very stripped down version of Windows, where I use Chris Titus Tech's algorithm to strip everything out of it. Everything. I mean, literally Windows as bare and bone as possible while still actually having Windows. And obviously I have the OnePlus in front of me that's unlocked. I have the Duo, which I'm a huge fan of for most scenarios. I wish it's just so fragile that I switched back to the OnePlus as my daily driver. The Duo is my actual device I use at work to do coachings and what I do my trades on and things like that. But to get back to the main subject is I'm really, really concerned that this is a losing battle and that Microsoft is going to be short-lived being so late to the market. I'm going to go back to a video I did a couple weeks ago, or maybe even over a month and a half ago now, where I said they need to figure out how to get in the lower price point, where I would have entered. I would have entered at $400, putting as much in there as I possibly could for $400. Obviously, Microsoft it out, making Edge the default everything. Microsoft. The same way Google and Apple and Samsung do. That's where they're making their money. Maybe even taking a loss just like you do on the Xbox. Coming up with their own version of the Android store like Amazon does. Obviously, Amazon does an amazing job pushing their products which are far inferior to everything else, but they sell really well because they make them cheap because they put ads on them, and people are willing to deal with that. So going forward, I really want Microsoft to really look at the fact that they need to figure out how to make their flagship a true flagship with the Duo 2, and figure out how to make more affordable Android devices to where they can continue to fight this battle and not just rely on a partnership with Samsung, hoping Samsung can continue to dominate the Android market and world market. They are a couple percent up from everyone else because Huawei's second, third, bouncing back and forth with Apple, and obviously they can't partner with Huawei because of a lot of the restrictions in the United States. So reality is Microsoft needs to do either what I just said by opening up a cheaper device, even if they only do 2 devices, do a $300 to $400 device to battle the Pixel 5a this year and the A series from Samsung. That's very focused on a good camera, a very easy interface, sleek design, not super expensive. You doesn't need to be super fast. It just needs to get people's attention, because the main reason why Apple doesn't have a lot of the world market is mostly because of the price points. All right, obviously that's going to change. The SE is really slowly starting to change that, and Microsoft and Google need to continue doing that. Obviously, Google has noticed that. Look at what they did with the Pixels last year. The 4a is an absolutely fantastic device, and the Pixel 5, in my opinion, is also absolutely fantastic. About $75 more expensive than I would expect, but my wife has it. I got it for her. I got her away from Apple, and she absolutely loves the Pixel. She also loves the fact that everything works with my products in the house because everything's Android in this house. And it just makes things work really well. Obviously, Android and Microsoft are just as seamless as iOS. People just keep buying, drinking the Kool-Aid, and I really, really hope that the market share 20 and up really, really starts to fluctuate, and even younger. Maybe parents like myself, I will not buy my children Apple devices. I want open source to win, and that's what I'm going to buy. That's what I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on. Plus, I'm going to buy them a $300, $200 Motorola phone before I buy anything else. But anyways, tell me what you guys think. Is this a losing battle? Is Android losing, or is it just a reality that because Apple has iOS and they're the only option, and the US and UK just skew the numbers really bad, which is what I'm really thinking. What my real opinion is just skewed numbers. But I'm really worried that those skewed numbers are going to continue to get skewed. Everybody wants to be like the UK and US and Germany and these other big countries. Hey, look, they do it. I want to do it. And they start doing the same thing regardless how good the product is. Take care of yourselves. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks for taking your time to be here with me today. Find my Twitter, comment below, and let's talk some more. Have a great day.